On today's episode of Homeworthy, we're showing you the power of great design. This once sterile office was reimagined and turned into a gorgeous tequila lounge that's inside a stunning mansion in Dallas, Texas. 25 interior designers were each tasked with transforming a different room in just 8 weeks, and Dallas-based interior designer Javier Burkle took a small, dim space and turned it into a private tequila lounge. This intimate space is inspired by Javier's Mexican heritage and boasts vintage brass accents, a custom sectional, and a French Renaissance bar table for guests to unwind in style. And look up to find agave leaves in brass stretching from the ceiling, a nod to the spirit of tequila that fills the room. Who's ready for a drink? Enjoy and welcome to the Kips Bay Showhouse. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Javier Burkle. Welcome to the Tequila Lounge. Hi Homeworthy, I'm Javier Burkle from Dallas, Texas, and welcome to the Tequila Lounge. The Tequila Bar is actually sobremesa lounge. Sobremesa is the art of a drink after dinner. Having grown up in Mexico, this is kind of like a part of a culture that after you have a meal with your family, you sit down and lounge and have a tequila and sip around for hours having great conversation. So I just remember my parents sitting around with my grandparents and my uncles and cousins and just sipping tequila, having amazing conversation, just spending time with one another. And you know, it's kind of like the time where you have a great conversation and it gets very personal, and you know, that's kind of like when everyone interacts after a couple of drinks, you know, conversation gets even better. So the inspiration was creating a little bit of a Mexican culture in an elegant way that kind of includes that tradition of hanging out, feeling super comfortable, feels homey, layered, and what we really wanted to do is bring in as much Mexican art as we could. So pretty much everything that's in the room has been produced in Mexico, has a Mexican connection. We just wanted to like kind of expose that beautiful art that we have in Mexico. So this is our second Kips Bay, so I feel like second time around we kind of know a little better what we're doing. It is definitely a stressful process, but it's very exciting. It's very cool that you can actually create a space where you can do exactly what you want to do. The stressful part is actually knowing when to stop, because we could have just keep creating things. But with the short timeline, we just have to get it done. We have about like a month and a half to 2 months worth of construction, design and construction. So it is a very quick turnaround, but I think, you know, we made it work. Designing every single piece, it was kind of like, what is, in that time frame, what is our capability? So this table was actually one of the last things that we were able to get in. We were waiting for the brass top to arrive. So it was kind of like, not stressful, but at the same time it's like, okay, it's exciting. We're gonna get it done and it's gonna arrive and, you know, make sure it completes the room. So we kind of wanted to create two spaces. So we have the bar on one side, and then we have kind of like our lounge, sit around, hang around area. All these pieces were actually designed and custom made for us. This sectional was designed by the Burkle creative team. And we wanted to create something that was very impactful, like the fabric with the matching pillows, with the warm colors. We just wanted to make it feel like it was very warm and cozy. This table, we got the inspiration from the Polo Lounge. We wanted to create this brass top that felt like it had been there for a long time, but also super comfortable to set your drinks down and just hang around. Same with this little 3-pillow poof that we designed. You want to be comfortable. We want to make it very dressy, but this kind of takes it as like you're sitting on the ground too and hanging around. This is a great conversation. Everyone's just hanging out. Our flowers were designed by Concepto here in Dallas. We love working with them. We got this painting done by Stephanie Johnson. She's an amazing artist here in Dallas. That is actually Maximilian. He was the first emperor of Mexico, first and only emperor. And so we wanted to have that inspiration of bringing the European influence into Mexico. He was a great creative person, so a lot of architecture and design that has that that European influence in Mexico came from him. So that was kind of like a huge thing that we wanted to show in our space. The wallpaper is from Kravit. We love partnering with them. And we wanted to create it where it felt like you're in like a little bit of a tequila tasting room. Like it felt like it's like a concrete where you like got the tequila out of the field and you're having a little tasting room that felt more like local. So the design for the custom, we kind of wanted to create this like little staircase feel. Kind of brings a little bit of the pyramid look. It kind of has like a little bit of Mexican influence with it, but in a very elevated way. It's not just like a, you know, Aztec looking shape. We had a shopping trip to Mexico and we actually brought all the pottery with us. So this is all from local vendors in Mexico City and Valle Bravo. We wanted to, as I said, like to make it feel as original as we can. These lights are also made in Mexico by La Viva. It's an artist that's outside of the city and he makes every single panel by hand. We love working with them and just the backstory of it with a little bit more of a mid-century. What we like doing is like combining ages in the space so it doesn't feel like it's just built in one time era. So when we have a little bit more modern with a little bit more classic with older pieces of art, it kind of confuses your eye and like gives you like an idea of like when was it built, when was it all put together. The ceiling was a big challenge. I mean, we love how high the ceilings were in here, but of course we wanted to create a big impact. Kashi, who is someone that we partner with to do all of our plaster and metal work, created these amazing agaves made out of brass. We wanted to feel like they were just growing out of our cove. And Little Greens did the wallpaper. We wanted to make it feel like it was a hand-painted tile effect. So it kind of brings the old and the new again with the new brass, but then old texture in the ceiling. Very geometric, but a very big impact. As I said, a lot of the things we wanted to make sure it felt like it came from Mexico, and this did. It came from San Miguel, from Jeffrey Weisman. We've used these lights before. They're made out of rope. They're handmade in Mexico. It makes me feel like a little bit of a upgraded piñata kind of thing with the tassels. So it's a great texture, and I just love the history that they're made in Mexico with a Mexican tradition to make rope turn into like a sculptural chandelier. It's one of my favorite pieces. Was born and raised in Mexico City. My grandmother was an interior designer. My mom was in textile design, and those were two huge influences for me to be in a creative field. When I moved to the US, I knew I wanted to be in this industry. I just didn't know in what capacity, and I feel like I found my niche, and I just love creating spaces, not just for myself, but for clients and understanding their needs. And creating beauty and functionality in their spaces. So I feel like this is a space that kind of shows a lot of my heritage and like the look that I like building, but also making it functional. So it's kind of like a combination of bringing my growing up space into like a different space that I'm creating a business. I mean, I feel like it's all about creating an emotion and a reaction, and I feel like this room should feel homey, should feel comfortable, should feel like you want to sit around and hang around. You want to grab a drink, sip a tequila, and just sit around and have a great conversation. Spend hours here. This is what we want people to do. Just come and hang out with us. On this side, we wanted to also create a lot of layers. So we designed this mirror that we're actually custom making it, so we can actually pick any fabric to make it. But we wanted to bring that masculine look. So there's like chevron with the chains. It was kind of like a big impact to create this fabric frame. We also love having a mirror in the room. Of course, we want to take selfies, and everyone that comes to our room, make sure that, you know, they know how to tag us and everything. So we've always had a mirror when we do a Kips room. This side of the room all started with Mr. Lick. I found this piece a couple years ago at a vintage shop here in Dallas, and we found the perfect spot for him at the show house. It is extremely heavy, so we had to do extra supports in this wall, and that took a little bit of time. Again, the flowers, we just wanted to create a little bit of a texture on this side. The console table is one of our designs. It kind of takes us back to Maximilian's castle in Chapultepec in Mexico City, so we wanted to take some of that inspiration for that piece. And then who doesn't need a little cigarette while they're having a tequila? So we have these sculptures, ceramic cigarettes, just to give it a little bit more of a fun statement in this table. Pottery again all came from Mexico. This is an artist in Valle Bravo that we work with that does all of our painting on china and of course our tequila sets. Fabric on these Spanish chairs came from Gaston and Daniela, who we love working with at Kravit. And that's it on this side. This is one of my favorite walls, of course, in the room, so we love a good layered wall. Now for the most important part of the room, of course, the bar. This is a vintage desk from Spain that we turned into a working bar. We added the beautiful skirt from Schumacher, and we're ready to start mixing some drinks. Of course, our tequila is in this vintage piece back here, surrounded by urban electric sconces that we love designing with the red background. So let's get a drink going. I mean, Lalo's my favorite tequila, and it's delicious actually just straight. As we said, we like to just sip around in our lounge, so let's go for it. Salud.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.